Great day, everyone. Hello, and welcome to the Relationship Exchange. I am the gray hair goddess, and thank you so much for joining me. I'm hoping that you can hear me because my co host is a little delayed today. So, hopefully, you guys can hear every single word. Have my um, cap on today. I am having a difficult relationship with my hair. So I got the cap on today. But y'all, I'm so glad y'all here. I am going to text and please put it in the chat if you can hear me. If anybody is out there, put it in the chat. Let me know if you can hear me, please. And I am going to get to today's show. And I'm not going to hold y'all too long. I'm not going to be too long. I'm just hoping and praying y'all can hear me. I don't have my normal setup, my usual setup for some reason. Um, One of my setups that I usually use is actually not working. So hopefully y'all can hear me. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. It's so good to see you all again. Goodness, it's so good. I know it's been storming, raining, doing all that stuff. I had power out here at home, and I'm sure there's a lot of stuff going on with the power, Wi-Fi, and all that stuff. So yeah, it kind of affected me in some ways, but not in a major way. I'm okay. All right, so got a good one for you today. And if y'all ever see me looking over, it's because I have to have notes. I'll be reading my notes. So, today's title is From Soulmate to Strangers: Why It Was Perfect, but Now It's Toxic. Also, I'm going to answer maybe one or two questions about the no contact rule. Um, some years ago I had did the no contact rule, and um that was the thing. The no contact rule was the biggest thing I've ever done. I got a lot of views on that, and that was something that I tried in a relationship, that because it was trending back then. So I just want to answer questions and try to just try to get it straightened out of a couple of comments that I saw from before about the no contact rules. So we're going to dive into that today as well. But first, we're going to get all the hoopla out the way. So usually like I said, my co-host is usually here. She might just be a little bit delayed. So it's just me and you. But it's a podcast. And thank you so much for coming in. Thank you for those who have joined me. I appreciate you so much. All right. So let me go ahead and get to it. If you're new to the relationship exchange, join us live every single Sunday. Every Sunday, I try my best to go live at 5 p.m. for the relationship exchange. We are not on air during some holidays and for some live videos, but most of the live videos we're here. Okay, we talk about important relationship topics like the one today, soulmates, strangers. Those really that's really important. I have other important topics that you may or may not have seen from the lives. A lot of people are interested in those topics, so go check those out. You can join us in the chat or on YouTube. You can join us in the in the chat on YouTube, or you can come and be on the panel. So I don't have to be by myself. You can make sure you can come right in and be on the panel. I can email you a link and you can just step right on. So if you enjoy listening to us every Sunday, please consider subscribing to the channel give us a like and save our videos to refer back to an episode that caught your attention. Okay. And we would love to have you as a subscriber. We would love that. So if you could just be so kind to share it with your friends and family, turn on the notification bell so you know when I come on. I come on every Sunday at 5, but you also need that notification because sometimes I can't make it. So if I do or don't make it, you'll know it because that notification bell will be on. Okay, so help us to continue to be here every Sunday at 5 p.m. by just just showing your support. And I want to thank you so much. I want to thank someone special, Miss Linda Lee. She is Lily. She is always here on Sundays, and she's very supportive. Love you, Lily. Thank you so much. Okay. So now we're going to get down to the love fact of the day. Okay. That's the first thing we're going to do is get to that love fact. So we do this every Sunday with the love fact of the day. I forgot to put this up last Sunday and probably every other Sunday before that. But I got it this Sunday. I got it this Sunday. So the love fact of the day is some animals like penguins and swans mate for life, showing that lifelong commitment is not unique to humans. Wow. It says showing that lifelong commitment is not unique to humans. So, but you know what? It's there has been 30 and 40-year marriages and things of that nature, but that is very, very rare these days. The animals probably have it way longer than we do. Some animals, like they said, penguins and swans, they all mate for life. And just in a relationship, trying to make it last that long is very difficult. You got to stick together and make sure that person is your soulmate and you ready to be in a commitment for life during that time. So, yep, that's the love fact of the day. That is it. Okay, so let's get right back into it. Let me get right back into it. So, um, next, we are going to go ahead and talk about from soulmate to strangers, why it's perfect and but now it's toxic. So, I got this title from tonight's conversation because I did see that it was a young lady that walked up and said, "You know what?" She mentioned that in the beginning their relationship was perfect. I think this person, whoever she was with, was doing such a wonderful job, a marvelous job on the relationship. They both were having fun. They both were doing what they do. But for some reason, it fell off. And she was posing that question to the panel on tonight's conversation. I have experienced that so much where um that things go well and then it starts to fall off. Now that person's answer, I didn't really get to a chance to really look at it and elaborate and see how he elaborated on giving her an answer. But what I will say is that it's not, I don't think that a person leaves a relationship or it starts to become toxic when the same things that they when you use either the person inside the relationship, like the man or woman used to do something and all of a sudden it stops at some certain point. So at some point one of the parties have lost interest. Okay. And losing interest definitely means to me somebody's not doing something that they were doing in the beginning of the relationship. So that other person is actually noticing this and wishing that it was there. That's, to me, I feel like that's probably actually what is happening when someone when it's going well, and then all of a sudden you guys become strangers. uh there's things that's coming in between, you know. It could be people coming in between you two, but to me, I definitely feel like if you're not doing the same things that you were in the beginning of the relationship, it's a possibility that that person notices this, gets bored with it, and starts to cheat, or either just leaves the relationship completely. So it takes a toxic turn when things, begin to change, or, you might hear a partner say, well, you used to do this, or you used to do that. Why don't you do this anymore? Or why are you not doing that anymore? When you hear someone say that, it's like they are identifying that you are no longer providing what they came in the relationship for. That's what it sounds like to me. I mean, that's just my opinion. That's just what I was looking at. It was just my opinion on, what I believe that is. So usually I always have questions. And so I still got questions even when I'm alone. So I still got questions. So I feel like one this first question is saying, and usually I get all my questions from AI because it's too hard for me to sit up and try to think all this. So y'all, these questions come from AI. Just in case you was wondering, like, where is she getting all these questions? AI. Okay. So my first question um is the turning point. Can you point to a specific moment or event when the perfection started to fade? So, when the relationship was perfect, when was the turning point that it started to fade? When was that turning point? When was the turning point that everything just started to fall apart, started to fade out, just started feeling like I don't want to do this anymore? Now, for me, in a past relationship, which is all I could give you because I am definitely not in a relationship right now. But in a past relationship, the turning point for me is noticing my actions and how I did not do certain things that I used to do because it seemed like I was more entangled or paying more attention to that person than I was myself. So I believe that triggered a change in them. Okay. Honestly, that's just being honest. That probably triggered a change in their behavior. So when you leave the court side, for you, and you're making things abnormal by constantly always trying to be in that person's face or trying to always be on their side, trying to always see what's going on, you really change the dynamics of the relationship because he wasn't expecting that. He or she, maybe they were expecting a little more chase, a little more reservedness. They were expecting more pullback so they could chase. It's always rules to the game that you're playing. And to me personally, I broke some rules. So if the rules are broken, that does not give that person a chance to understand the game. So they could possibly just get frustrated and already have a side something or a side piece because maybe sometimes that's just who they are. They keep somebody on the side just in case something doesn't work out. And that's very toxic. That's toxic too. That is also very toxic. But, you know, it's a possibility that um even though it's toxic, that's just what they do, or people do. It could be man or woman doing that, keeping somebody on the side in case something happens. I never do that, but a lot of people do. So that's kind of a turning point for me. That's what I can remember, like just not choosing myself during that time and always choosing that other person. That is when it turns toxic because they begin to notice and they do not want that type of toxicity to continue. That's all I can say about that one. Okay. So the second question is the illusion. Okay. So looking back, were there red flags in the perfect beginning that you chose to ignore? Now, just to just to solidify that same relationship, that same thing. Yes, there were red flags that I ignored. If we're speaking, on my relationship, yeah, there were red flags I ignored. Um most of those were the texting slow, not calling back, always having to call them. There's a lot of red flags, a whole lot of red flags. Um, when you are speaking of how, when you're speaking of a relationship that you thought would go perfect and that was going perfect in the beginning. It seemed to have gone perfect in the beginning because you guys were in the beginning phases. But when you're stuck on the beginning phase and you go further in and you start to see the red flags, you want to ignore them because you want this relationship to work. And that's the wrong thing to do. Never ignore red flags. And the reason I say that because it's a waste of time. Those red flags waste. A red flag could last 2 years, a year, and you could have been with somebody else by then. So never ever ignore something that your intuition is telling you that this is a red flag. You know, this person is, you haven't spoken to this person in 2 or 3 days. That is a red flag. They don't give you an explanation, or they miss, a date. They are not consistent, and you're making excuses as to why they're doing this, just so you can have someone or talk to somebody. That is not good. Don't waste your time on with red flags. If you catch a red flag, that's got to be tossed ASAP, immediately. You got to leave that situation because the deeper and deeper you get, the more toxic it becomes. And so, if you don't want that toxicity, you need to get rid of those red flags early. So, that's what I can say about the illusion, the blanket over your eyes during this time. Okay. So, then next is the effort gap. Who stopped trying first? You, your partner, or was it a mutual slide into roommate territory? Mm. Okay, so I didn't live with anybody. I'm just going off of my experiences and what I saw. I mean, you can tell who stopped trying first when it changed. When you get that change, you can definitely tell that somebody stopped trying because things are not the same. When it starts to turn toxic, that's when you know that someone stopped trying first. They stopped trying. So that to me, that's how you know that they stop trying or you stop trying because things become toxic. You know, they don't do they may not say good night anymore. They may not text you good morning. They when you stop, most of the time people always say when they stop saying good morning, this and that, they stop texting you first. When you quit being the first thing on their mind, the changes kick in. You know what I'm saying? So when you're no longer, if their routine changes and you're no longer their first thought in the morning or whenever, if you're no longer that, you know that it's about to be a red flag. It's about to change. It's about to be toxic because that first time that they did it, something happened. Something happened. Uh, Relationship warrants consistency. If you're not consistent in a relationship, you're going to have issues. You're going to have problems because in the beginning, you know, going back to when it was perfect, in the beginning, that's when it was consistent. And when it stops being that, it stops being that if you notice a change, if you notice, well, man, they used to come over for dinner at 5. Now they're texting me saying they can't make it. And this is about the fourth or fifth week, that they've done that. But I feel like during that time, paying attention to detail, you should definitely notice that that's when it's about to become toxic. It's no longer consistent and you are no longer priority. So those are just some signs, you know, that I noticed and that I look out for. I'm very detailed. I try my best to make sure I look at all the details because that's really important to do that. To look at the details in relationships. It's very important. So if you notice those things, you notice those things happening, you know that it's about to get toxic, it's about to get crazy, it's about to go down. Yeah. Yeah, it's about to. So I'm gonna move on to the effort gap. Who stopped, is that the same thing? No, 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 I'm sorry. I'm reading wrong. I'm gonna move on to the modern dating. What we just discussed was the effort gap. So I'm gonna move on to modern dating. Do you think modern dating apps and price range dating makes us give up on relationships too quickly? Um, what I think makes people give up on relationships, they can't relate to each other. They're mismatched. I definitely feel like some relationships are not meant to be together because they you have too much of a inconsistency with maybe what you like and what you don't like, and you don't stay in the dating stage long enough to find that out. So if you continue to date and continue to find things out about each other, you would know. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't affect you as much. But because you just jump right into a relationship or jump right into sex during the first date, because you do all of that, that's what makes you give up because you've done things too soon. You did not investigate, you did not research, you don't know what type of friends they got, you don't know what's going on. And because of all those things, well, yeah, anybody would probably be like, yeah, I'm ready to give up on this because, well, look at all the stuff you did, and you did or didn't do. as far as looking into things or trying to find out if you really want to be with that person or if you really want to waste your time and like that person. So I definitely I think dating apps, if you catfishing and you having a hard time, if you on there a long time, if you on a dating app a long time and you're getting catfished, or those are the type of things that make you say, okay, well, I might be done with dating apps. You know what I'm saying? I always think it's so organic to meet somebody um off the well, I don't know about back in the day. You can meet somebody off the street and they had good sense. Now today, I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know, because there's a lot of crazy people out there today. But I will say that back in the day, you can meet somebody off the street and y'all hit it off and it was cool, but not now. So maybe today it might make you give up on dating apps and all that stuff. It's a possibility, you know. So and then the price range thing. I'm gonna touch on that real quick. I just feel like if you don't have it together, you know, that's what makes you have to date your price range, because you're not that man is not able to step up and say, I can pay for this date. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's a man's place in the first place. If you're dating and you want to date someone, it's rules to dating. You can't just go out there and just be like, okay, well, I'm just gonna do this, and I cut myself off. But what I was trying to say was, when you're dating, when you're out there and you feel like I could date anyone, I could do this, I can do that. There's rules to that, especially the price range rule. I guess a provider, somebody who can provide, somebody who can do what they're supposed to do for a person, dating them is different. You know, I just truly believe a provider knows that that's what they're supposed to do. They were raised that way, as opposed to somebody saying, well, I'm not paying for that. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. And if you don't think a person is worth it, why would you date them? If you don't think a woman is worth paying for, why? I don't understand. That's what dating is about. It's not about paying for everything, but it's about getting to know that person. And once you get to know that person, I feel like you pay, they pay, we pay together. It's that type of thing. It's not all about the man just dishing out, money on on different dates and all that stuff. But you have to date with intention. That's the way I feel. Date with intention. Then you wouldn't be spending all that money to just, on just everybody. If that makes sense. I hope it does. Okay, so the next one is behavioral shifts. How did your partner's behavior change once the relationship became official? Hmm. Now, I can only, like I said, I can only speak on the past, but I've seen I've seen relationships from afar. And I feel like those changes, from the shift comes, like I said from before, the shift actually starts when you don't find out enough about that person. Okay. So if the person you're dating, let's just say you thought you didn't even bother to find out if they worked, if they have an actual job. Maybe they just had money on hand to take you somewhere a couple of times. And then you get into the relationship, you think it's all good and find out they don't even work. That's when the shift comes. That's just a sample. But a lot of things can trigger a shift, especially when it comes to the beginning of the relationship. And those shifts become red flags because if you let those pass, if you just let it pass that that person ain't got no job, you you gonna have issues. You're gonna have a serious issue on your hands. You know, First of all, you're gonna have trouble getting rid of them because they're gonna be thinking you gonna do it all or you gonna pay it all. That is your responsibility to do something for them when they are the ones that's the provider and they're supposed to do something for you. But you didn't stay that long to find that out. You didn't date that long to find that out. So if that happens, you know what I'm saying? That's where your shift comes in. I feel like that's how things get shifted, you know. Okay. So communication, we moving on to communication. Did you stop sharing your needs to keep the peace only to realize the peace was actually silence? Mm. Now, I'm going to address the stop sharing your needs to keep the peace. If you stop that, if I feel like if you stop sharing what you need and the things that are important to you, if you stop doing that, what's going to happen is it's that's the first thing that is going to come to mind is that you're going to feel enclosed. You're going to feel trapped because you can't tell that person what your needs are, even the smallest need. You can't tell that person if you're not bold enough to do it in the beginning, it's going to be hard for you to do it once you get all the way into it. Anything, any type of need or anything you need, I don't care what it is, it should be shared if that's the person you're intending to date, be with, marry. If that's the person you want to be with, it should be shared regardless. I don't care, regardless. And then that's so you can get their reaction and you can base if you want this person on that reaction. Because if you share, okay, well, something really simple. Let's just say you share something really simple like I need to get my car fixed. Okay. And maybe that person maybe that person is like, well, that's your problem. That's something you have to handle. And then you feel like, oh, well, I can't share that with him. No, not only should you not share it, you should be leaving the relationship because that is your problem. If you with me, my car problems are your car problems. Yes, that's very much so. Depending on if you guys are dating or just dating, because I feel like if y'all just dated, you shouldn't be sharing that information with him, that you having car problems or whatever. But if you know that person long enough and you get into a relationship, then and you guys are exclusive and you said you was going to be exclusive, it's been over a year, and that's his problem. Yes, that's his problem because you're choosing to continue to be with me and you're choosing to continue to be in a relationship. So yes, it's your problem. But if you don't share, I feel like if you can't share that, that's an issue. That's toxicity. That's when things change. That's when you go right back to um strangers. You know, you go from the relationship is perfect to now the relationship is toxic because you can't share anything with that person. So that one time that you feel uncomfortable sharing something is the one time you should be concerned, extra concerned. You should be concerned about your relationships. So I definitely believe that you need to make sure you share things and keeping the peace. You shouldn't have to keep peace in a relationship. What the hell for? You know, I feel like keeping the peace is the most craziest thing because it's not up to you to keep the peace. Both of you all should be keeping the peace, not just one person. And and it shouldn't have to be an unpeaceful moment because that person is supposed to be the background to your peace. And you're supposed to be the background to their peace, not their actual peace. Because I mean, then that creates obligation. What if you start feeling a different way and you're trying to, be that person. Oh, that's my piece. I need you to be my piece. Okay, that's creating an obligation. Because when you get ready to leave that relationship and the first thing they're gonna say, well, I thought you was my piece. I thought you was leaning on me. And I thought, no, mm-mm. I could be the background. That means help you through some things, but let you handle your piece on your own. Because if I mean, I feel like the relationship should be peaceful, not peace being on a person. That I mean, that's just how I look at it. The relationship as a whole should be peaceful. Okay. That's just me. That's just how I look at it. I feel like I don't want to be somebody's piece, or whatever, because being a piece, could turn into obligation, you know, and I'm not a side piece either. So, but I'm just saying, no, thank you on the peace side. I don't, nope, because like I said, it just creates obligation. It's no telling. I mean, that's just me looking at it from that perspective. Okay, so the next one I got is the narc factor narcissist. So many of you talk about narcissist cycles. Do you feel the perfect start was actually love bombing? So I can definitely say, I can say, because I've dated since my relationship. So I can definitely say that could be a love bomb because that person can start off doing so many nice things for you. That person can start off um just just the perfect guy, opening doors and oh, I'm so family oriented and I'm so this and I'm so that and I'll take you to dinner, I'll do all that stuff and then once y'all get long down the line, you start to see the true colors. So yeah, uh I definitely believe that that could be love bombing you because if you turn into strangers, maybe a what soon after that, it's just like you don't know them anymore because now they're not texting every day. They not doing the things that you saw them do in the beginning. Yeah, that turns into a narcissist, type of thing. I believe it does. And it can turn into love bombing because they're not doing it anymore. It's something that they're not doing. So yep, I definitely believe that narc factor can come into play. Okay. Internal change. Um, and we all in our last 15 minutes. So I'm not going to be able to get to I'm going to take this last question and then I'm going to get to that no contact rule. So, how much of the sour feeling comes from you changing versus them changing? Sour feelings. Hmm. I get sour feelings when I notice the change and it's not a good change. Um, this is asking, is it from them changing or you changing, getting a sour feeling? Well, that sour feeling definitely depends on who's changing, who's being toxic, who's doing what. That's what that sour feeling is. And I know I'm going to get a sour feeling if there's too many red flags. So if there's like, if I'm noticing a lot of stuff going on, yeah, it's gonna be some sour feelings, you know. Um, and I definitely feel like if it's bad, you should get a sour you should get that feeling like, oh no, I gotta get out of this. This not making no sense. I don't have communication, I don't have the tools I need to be in a relationship. When you don't have the tools you need to be in a relationship, yeah, you gonna have to leave, and yeah, you should get that sour feeling. That feeling should be sour as hell, and get out of it. But that's what I have to say about that with the soulmate to strangers. So really, really quick, I'm gonna try to address uh from the comments um the stuff about the no contact rule. So let me explain what the no contact rule is actually, guys, because this is what my channel was actually based on. Um, thank you, Miss Lily. I see you in here. I see you in here. Yep. And it's definitely a gut feeling. Yeah. Yes. It's definitely a gut feeling. Most certainly. So, and it's a gut feeling to run. Like I said, if especially if it's a toxic change, if it's not a good change, it's a gut feeling to get up out of that relationship. But going back to what I was saying about the no contact rule. So, if you go back to some of my old videos, you'll be able to see me explaining what the no contact rule was very briefly. The no contact rule is where you would not talk to your significant other for 30 days in order to decide if you were going to break up with them or if you were going to stay with them. Okay, now I got a lot of comments, a whole lot of comments that stated the no contact rule is not for that. You were supposed to, once you leave, you supposed to stay gone. Well, I that's not the reason I did the no contact rule. I did the no contact rule to reset my mind and to understand exactly what I was going through. Back then I probably didn't convey it in the video, but I can convey it now because of the simple fact the no contact rule. Um, if you do something for 30 days, or I think it's 21 days, it's a habit. So by that time, you done had enough time to think about if you want that person. Is that person beneficial to you? Do you want to be with that person? That's what I was deciding. I was deciding that with the no contact rule. But some people in the comments thought that it was a manipulation tactic and just to get your ex back. Well, even if it was, I'm going to say this, even if it was a manipulation tactic, what did you learn from it during the 30 days? If you want that person back, did you understand the reason you wanted them back and while you took your 30-day sabbatical? you know, while you was off on the 30 days, that's what it helped me do. Now, even though I went back to that person, maybe I didn't understand something that was going on, or it could have just been, being infatuated with somebody so much that, they had to do something specific and more toxic in order for me to leave. Okay. So um that's why I feel like the no contact rule is not a manipulation tactic. It's not at all. I mean, it all depends on exactly what type of person you dealing with. I mean, and then some people were like, oh, if they're ex they should have stayed gone and da 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 da. Hey, you won't know if they should have stayed gone if you know what I'm saying, if you don't take time to think about it. And that's what I did. I just took out time to think about it. Um, you know, that's to me, that's what happened with the no contact rule. Okay. So Miss Lily says life is what feels a certain feeling that is healthy to you. Right. What's healthy to you? So, what certain feeling is healthy to you? If you feel like you took 30 days for a no contact rule, what's healthy to you? You know what I'm saying? Is it healthy to go back? Is it unhealthy to go back? Um, so I also saw that people were saying that you wasn't upfront, with that person. You don't have to be upfront with somebody that you're taking a break from. You know, being and if you did be upfront with that person, what was you gonna tell them? Oh, I'm taking a 30-day break from you because you get on my nerves and I need to find out what I need to do about you. The relationship would end right then and there because they'd probably be like, well, F you then. I don't gotta stay with you. I don't gotta do and to avoid that, to avoid all of that, because you want to take time out and know who you are, to avoid all of that, you do the no contact rule. No contact for 30 days, and they're not supposed to know. That's what the rule was for. So you can't be upfront about a rule that is made for them not to know. And I don't think that's manipulative. I I just believe you taking out that time. And if they want you or if they are really interested in you, you keep track of how many times they contacted you during that no contact rule. Did they contact you one time? Did they contact you two times? Did you answer? Did they call you at all? What if you did that no contact rule and you never told them, and you think that relationship they think the relationship is the same, but you haven't talked to them the whole damn 30 days, and you don't think you should leave, or you think you should, you know what I'm saying? It's a that if you haven't talked to them within 30 days, they never called you during that time, they didn't want you. They was hoping you would leave. They was actually hoping you would leave. Okay, somebody says, or Tabby, Cats for Life too. I think it's hard to know if it's healthy or not when there are good and bad times. It's definitely tough. Yes, yes. Yep, it really is. When you have a mixture of good and bad times, that's when you don't know if it's healthy or not. It's hard to tell, which is why, you do that no contact rule. So for 30 days, you just take time out to figure out, is the relationship healthy? Is that what you want? Is that what you want to do? You know what I'm saying? So, and then that's the same thing I was saying here. Why 30 days? What if they don't reach out in that time? Is it a sign to move on forever. That's exactly what I was saying. If that you can't go back to something that don't want you. If they haven't, if you did the no contact rule for 30 days and they never reached out to you, why would you it's no reason to talk to them because they don't want you. They did not call. They didn't care that you were gone. They don't care. They just feel like if okay, it's been 30 days and I ain't talked to her. They never wanted you. They didn't want you. Um, what about if you had someone um I knew first, then it was you and me. Okay, Miss Lily, I gotta try to understand that question. It says, what about if you had someone they knew first you knew first, then it was you and me. Now, is this pertaining to the no contact rule? I got to figure this one out, Miss Lily. That's a tough one. I'm sure if you could rephrase it, but most definitely, um, 30 days and they don't contact you, you're not in anything. They don't want you. They actually glad you gone for 30 days. Because if they did, I don't see why they wouldn't contact you. You see what I'm saying? I don't understand why they wouldn't contact you. So, um, next, moving on is what should you do if they contact you during the no contact period? Well, at least you know they want you. If they contact you during the no contact period, at least you know they want some of you, a piece of you, any kind of you during that time. It's supposed to be 30 days, but um if if I would answer during the 30 days and find out where their head was because they hadn't talked to you in so long and what exactly would they say, and then you have to measure how far are you in your healing time, in your healing space with the no contact rule. How far out, how far are you in with your healing? So when you do answer them, you can understand if, do I really want to go back to this, or has that person understood that, you know, this I didn't contact you and look how long it took you to contact me. It depends on how long that is. At the time I was new to it, but if it was somebody that I was trying to get away from, I wouldn't answer the call. If it's somebody I didn't want, I would not. It would be more than 30 days. I would just leave them. But that was somebody that I was interested in. So you just answer that call, and find out how far are you in your healing. How you know how have they healed, you know so this is the last one, guys. um Now, this is crazy, but I'm gonna try to answer this one. How do you deal with a narcissist stalking or hovering, showing up at traffic lights or blowing up your phone after months of silence? That's when you start, that's when get your police report ready. That's when you start going down to the precinct or wherever the hell you got to file your report, and you get yourself, you make sure you protected. Make sure you got your peace at home, and start getting filing reports at the police station. because nobody should be stalking and hovering and doing all that stuff, making your life uncomfortable. Nobody should be doing that. I don't care how in love you were with them or were not. That's never a good thing for somebody to stalk you and somebody to actually, oh, please excuse me, guys, somebody to actually be um in your presence like that, threatening, having a threatening presence. I would handle them with, police authority. I would definitely handle them if as soon as they started. I feel like the sooner you nip that stuff in the bud, the sooner you'll get away from, that type of person, and they will understand that you're not playing with them. They need to leave. So, all right, y'all. This has been very, very enlightening, guys. Even though I was solo today, this was good. And I'm so happy that you guys were here. If you enjoyed the relationship exchange, please, please, please consider subscribing, and come back for more. We would love to have you here at the relationship exchange. We want to make sure you understand. We want you to be here. Turn on your notification bell, share with your family and friends. Um, Next week, hopefully, I'll try and have another good topic like we had this week. And most certainly, I will try to be here every Sunday at 5. um, if you like the video, please, please, please give it a like so it can get into the algorithm. And during the week, I will try to put up some shorts and things of that nature for you guys. I don't have a big enough following yet for the community tab. If I did, I would definitely, be talking to you guys through the community tab. But I have enjoyed you guys today. And just please, please remember the relationship exchange. It's not just one way, it's an exchange. And it's also how you have a relationship with yourself, how you have relationships with all things. And we're going to get into that more too about, relationships with other things and people. But for now, I am signing out. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'm going to see y'all on next Sunday. Y'all take care and peace out. Peace out.